Hi, Dale from Arc Hi-Fi here. Today we're going to discuss my First Watt J2 power amplifier. The First Watt J2 was designed by legendary audiophile designer Nelson Pass. First Watt is like a side garage project for Nelson. He designs for his own company, Pass Labs, which sells very high-end, excellent sounding products. And Nelson's really involved with the do-it-yourself amp building community, so he offers a few of his own that he's built in his little workshop. The J2 is 25 watts per channel into 8 ohms, 13 watts into 4, and it's just a great sounding amp. It's built like a tank. I purchased this 2 years ago without auditioning it. There's no dealers around me that carry any Pass or First Watt gear, so I purchased this from Reno Hi-Fi, who has a very good return policy. And the one thing when I was checking out all the reviews that made me favor this amp to try out was Nelson Pass stated that the J2 is probably the least offensive of its amps. In other words, I think he was saying it's the most versatile for different kinds of music, and I listen to everything. So that appealed to me. One other thing that appealed to me was the gain. The output gain is 20 decibels. I came from a New Force STA 200, and that was a Class AB amp based on the Job 225, which gets rave reviews across the audiophile community. However, the gain of that amp is 34 decibels. Most normal gains of amplifiers are anywhere between the 25 to 28 range. The problem is I run very high efficient speakers. I have Zoom and DEF speakers, and although they're advertised at 101 decibel sensitivity, the measurements in the various reviews put them more close to 96 to 98. So any bit of tube hiss or any noises in your system is going to be amplified even more, especially with a high gain amplifier such as the STA 200 that I had. I actually had to put a passive preamplifier between my BHK preamp and the amplifier because the tube hiss was pretty loud, much louder than normal. And my listening setup is more like a near field listening setup, so it bothered me quite a bit. This amp, however, everything is quiet as a mouse. Another reason I chose this was it's the only First Watt amp to have actually XLR balanced outs, which is nice. So I run the balanced ends, the balanced outs from my BHK into the ends of this, and then I run the single-ended into my subwoofer. This amp is still available. Many First Watt amps, they're up and being sold for a while. Then, because of parts shortages or what have you, they just stopped producing them. This one's still available, but I believe the newer models have only one power light versus two, like this one. Like I said, this one's a couple years old. So I've been thinking lately of maybe going up the line into Pass Labs, and I was thinking about the 30.8, which is a 30 watt per channel amplifier. Not because of the power, but sometimes I felt when I listened to maybe more modern electronic music on this First Watt, it feels just a tad slow. Compared to the New Force, where everything was snappy and zippy and it was just right there. This, I just feel like it lags behind a little bit in the snappiness. And I also was thinking about the XA25, but the XA25 doesn't have balanced outs. But the XA25, which is advertised at 25 watts, I believe it measures at close to 80 watts on the test benches with most of the review sites. So that's another one to consider, and it's a little snappier, and I've heard the 30.8 is as well. So with that thought in mind, I went to there's this great Facebook group called I Love My Pass Labs, and and I put the question out there, and it's called "I Love My Past Labs Audio." It's a private group, so you have to ask to join. Put the question out there, and people responded by saying, "Yeah, basically the XA25 and the 30.8 is little bit meatier, quicker, snappier. Plus obviously they're more powerful if you need that. Power's not my big thing because this thing will blast you out of the room. But I was thinking maybe on some, my more modern sounding records, maybe something that's a little more quicker without losing that central flavor that this provides. And a lot of people on the Facebook group actually said, the 30.8 or the XA25 is a good upgrade for such. But I'll turn this on, and then all those thoughts, especially when I listen to jazz or classic rock, all those thoughts about changing amps go away. This thing just sounds good. And the only way to describe it, a lot of people say it has a tubey sound or a tube-like sound. I'm not saying it sounds like a tube amp, like as in real like a muddled or rolled off type sound on the top end and the mids. It just sounds very distortion free, very full. It just sounds right. The pianos and acoustic bass, they sound real. Those are hard instruments to record, and there's plenty of recordings with poorly recorded, piano and bass. But if you have a good recording, this just makes them sound like they're right in the room with you. A good test recording I think you need to download is an album called The Big Two, and it's by a saxophonist Warren Marsh and bassist Red Mitchell. And it's just a live album that was recorded, I believe, in 1980. And it's a live album with just acoustic bass and saxophone. And they're separated pretty well, but you don't have that huge hole in the middle. It's blended really nice. With this amplifier, that album just sounds like it was recorded right in your room. And I got the DSD download of it, and I'm sure Qobuz and Tidal and all the music subscription places have it as well in high res. But that album will just make you feel like they're right there performing. And this thing really, really does do that. The amplifier's built like a tank. I'm very happy with it. I still may go up the road and up the line and get a 30.8. But I may hang on to this as well and just keep it and put it in an hour, or maybe start up a second system. So I highly recommend this. And if you're going to consider any Past Labs or First Watt product, I would highly recommend dealing with Mark at Reno Hi-Fi. I mean, before I purchased this, I sent him various emails asking questions. He was very patient, and he'll tell you what you need. He's not going to sit there and throw the highest price item at you. So he's very good. He's been a dealer. I think his father was too. Could be wrong for Pass for many years. So with that, put some comments below. Do you have a Past Labs amplifier or a First Watt? Do you have some takes on it? It'd be great to hear from you. And also hit the like button, hit subscribe. I'm going to be bringing more content like this with audio file components and recordings. So I highly recommend this amp. Go check it out. Have a great evening. See you next time.